was going to ask the same question because you said you had two more biological kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and then we decided to adopt in, but it was 9 years ago. So yeah, we have 3 biological kids. We went through a journey, really looking at what the Lord would have for us. That's when I made a shift to more ministry. But we didn't know what ministry was going to look like. So Sarah and I walked this journey of really being open-handed before the Lord. What does this look like? We think maybe it's full-time ministry, but weren't sure what it was. And I ended up going into ministry, but it really was me. I ended up at the church for 2 years as the executive pastor, helping through the transition of
That's
leadership there.
essential?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when Matt came in, I was executive pastor. And then I moved on to another organization, but it was really me doing ministry. Sarah obviously has done ministry as a lay leader for a long time, but then we were at this point of, okay, if we're not going somewhere for ministry, what does that look like for us? And so Sarah had read David Platt's book, Radical, and wanted me to read it. And in that, we were challenged that the church needed to have an active role in adoption. And so we had, taking a role at the church and stuff, I took a significant pay cut. And so we had international students in the house, and it was a bit of a testing of how are our kids going to do with other kids in their space and stuff like that. And so coming out of that, we decided, okay, we need to look at this. So we went through a discernment process of whether adoption was something we needed to do ourselves or whether we just needed to support families who were adopting. But we were convicted that we needed to have an active role. And we determined that, we had space in our home. We were ignorant and thought we were good parents at the time. And
you were, and you still are.
Yeah, well, some days. But so then we went through that journey. It was about 9 months of kind of learning. We adopted locally through the local
government agency, Ministry of Children and Families.
Yeah, thank you, Ministry.
Yeah.
And knew, because we had Isaac, because we had experience with neurodiversity, things like that, that we'd probably be pretty attractive as a family, and we were willing to take siblings. And so it was pretty much exactly a year from the time we started the courses and stuff to when Malcolm and Jasa came and joined us.
It was very quick.
Yeah.
Now, it's fascinating. You said something that most people don't understand. And actually, we just had an adoption foster kind of little conference at our church, which was beautiful. You were in a different session. I think you were speaking about supporting adoptive parents.
Mm-hmm. Which is that content online? Can people go listen to it?
I don't know if the breakouts are. Maybe the main session was.
I don't think the breakouts are.
Yeah. I mean, I really appreciated the main session. I mean, it was more of a sermon than a...
We'll see if I can link it in the description.
Yeah. But it was interesting how many people in the journey do not know how open-handed they need to be. So like I always struggle, and I don't know if you struggle with it as an adoptive parent, but I always struggle with, like, on one hand, as Christians, just feeling that call. And what does that look like? It obviously doesn't mean everybody's supposed to go adopt children. Obviously not.
No, but even to that note, like, if I would think of all the families in church that should adopt, my mind wouldn't have gone to your family first, because
thanks, Kyle.
You're dealing with a son that has cerebral palsy and already is dealing with a lot.
So let me just say something. Every family, if they're in the headspace, thinks that they're the family that isn't supposed to. They all think they have some reason. They might not have a child in the wheelchair, but they might think, hey, we have 5 kids already. That's enough.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, we have 3 or 2 and we're not doing that well.
Job,
hey, our marriage is hard,
whatever.
money.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess I would flip it around and say, hey, if you can open up your hands enough to say, God, teach me. But it's interesting on the flip side of that, because I always hold that tension in one hand when I'm talking to people, feeling like, man, like, do I need to adopt more kids? I don't feel like we can, so, hey, you should at least wrestle with this, like, live in that tension. On the other hand, people that do it often have no clue what they're getting into. Like, I mean, and I'm sure, people that social workers would say that too. they don't realize, like, you know, when you talked about, hey, like we would be open to siblings or neurodivergent
Right.
children that are struggling with neurodivergent issues, like that's most kids that you're adopting.
Hey guys, if you enjoy that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value, getting more guests on, and me being able to spend more time and energy towards it. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click up here and it'll take you to a support page. But you can also subscribe to the podcast by clicking over here and doing that. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.